gather is the traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq, and we pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people of this territory, past, present, and future. Second order of business is the declaration of conflict of interest. If any councillor has a conflict of interest, or any staff member has a conflict of interest in any of the items that we're going to cover here tonight, please indicate so now. If not, we'll go on to item number 3, approval of the agenda. So do we have, has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda, and are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the order of the agenda that anyone would like to suggest?
Your Worship, I've just been informed that the RCMP representative might be a bit late coming tonight. So in Safety Services report, the RCMP report might be put to the last of my thing.
Certainly. Is everybody okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, we'll consider it done then. So the item number 9 will now become item number 17.
Well, actually, what I referred to there is that the RCMP is under 9C. I might move it down to 9F.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just.
I'm sorry, okay.
Yeah, he just might need that 5 minutes.
Okay, do you propose a motion to that effect then?
I asked that be moved to the agenda.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, so we'll now change the order of the agenda, or item number 9. Okay, so I'll ask for a motion for approval of the agenda. Would that change?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, presentation, business arising from the minutes. Is there anything in the minutes that anyone noticed that needs to be changed? Any additions, deletions, or changes to the minutes of our regular council meeting of June 8th, 2022? If not, I'll ask for a motion for approval of those minutes.
I'll move the motion for the minutes as presented in the package.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
Oh, thank you. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay. Any presentations from the floor? If not, I will go to the next item, which is my report, and it's in your package. My computer's been a little slow today, so I may not be able to talk about the highlights. From memory, I'll just talk about the July 1st activities. I think it was the best yet. I think the July 1st work that was done by staff and and council to really carry out a really difficult task of presenting basically a big event for probably over 1,000 people. I don't know if the numbers are in yet. Jeremy, did we get any numbers from the event?
We were, excuse me, Sasan, we were suggesting that we'd be well over 2,000 people over there throughout the course of the day because we thought we
2,000,
were
wow.
probably
That's
800
great.
to 1,000 vehicles there.
That's incredible. Okay, I have my council agenda package with my report in it right here in front of me, so I will be able to touch on some of the highlights really quickly. It was a great pleasure to present the volunteer awards to our Volunteer of the Year, Khalid Shami, and to our Youth Volunteer of the Year, Edie Duncan. Edie Duncan, and to the family of our Senior Volunteer of the Year, the late Harry James. It was just a really great honor to be able to be in the company of those people and to recognize everything that they've done for the town as a volunteer. Yeah, we had the pleasure of meeting with the new commanding officer of the RCMP on PEI, Chief Superintendent Derek Santosuso, and we covered a lot of great topics. It was a great meeting, and we look forward to having another meeting in the fall. And we're going to make a regular, and I think it's already set up, which is really good to have those meetings set up for twice a year to go over any issues or items that we need to cover. And also some good news today that the federal government has decided to hold off on the retroactive pay bills that they sent to the. So we're going to be. It's not forgiven right now, but it's they're currently going to negotiate with each province to see who's going to pay what. So hopefully it'll be between the federal government and the provincial government to cover that amount. One of the big things was at the last town council, the Water School Calendar Contest Awards. Great young artists, great young conservationists. I think it was really a real proud moment for the town to see all those young people doing what they can to show people how to save water. And I congratulate Jeremy Crosby. We had a HR meeting, and we went over the report for his probationary period, and it's now over, and he's passed it with flying colors. So congratulations, Jeremy. And it was a real pleasure to attend the Special Olympics fundraising event at the Delta, along with council and staff members, and staff members Wendy Watts and Mary McCaskill, who to recognize one of our town's employees' son, Jordan. It was just Jordan Keown. It was just a great event, and it was really nice to. Charlie spoke really well, and it was just a great event. That's my report. Any questions or comments on my report?
I'd just like to make one comment in regards to the Volunteers of the Year, Eddie Duncan. That youth award is named after Steve McQuaid.
Yes, it is, yeah.
All right. And I just want to notify the council that each and every year, the families of Steve McQuaid go down to that event and shake that young person's hand and gives them a little gift.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
nice. I didn't know that.
Oh,
Is
yes,
that right?
they're
That's
there
great.
every year, and they
Yeah.
were there again this year.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
They like to meet the people, who represent Steve, and just give them a shake their hands and
Yeah.
identify themselves.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Steve McQuaid was a great community volunteer. I know he did a lot for the town during his life, and yeah,
Indeed.
that's great. And the Senior Volunteer of the Year award is Gail and Neil McDonald, is named after Gail and Neil McDonald
Yeah.
for the late Neil McDonald for.
And that was a great selection this year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bad we hadn't have done it before, but I guess it was something that it was really nice to meet the family and to recognize the joy that he brought to Stratford every year with his light display and with all the people that he helped with in his business. Any other comments or questions on my report? If not, we'll go to the Chief Administrative Officer report. Ask CAO Jeremy Crosby to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a few highlights. Your report is in the package there, but I had a meeting with the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure regarding several of our town projects. Good discussion there. Conducted interviews for the Environmental Sustainability Assistant, and we do have someone in place there now. We had an HR training session for department heads on succession planning and retaining qualified staff. It was a really good session there. There was a few sessions with regard to that. Myself and Kevin had a meeting with Turner Drake regarding current and future commercial development in the town. Had a meeting with the Gray Group regarding next steps in their master plan and development, and conducted interviews for the Community Energy Plan Coordinator, and we have a very qualified individual in that position also. So there's quite a few other items in there. I won't go over them all. Is there any questions on my report?
I see, Jeremy, there's one there, just, the bylaw tickets there, summary fence, ticketing process, is that for like bylaws throughout the town? I guess it is, yeah.
Yes, it is, and
Yeah.
there's a few issues with the ticket process there, and we're working through that process with regard to either having a justice of the peace here, or we have to change all the tickets, so myself and Carter are working on that now to get that fixed up.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that'd be good to have that fixed up. That's a
Yeah.
long-standing problem, so, yeah.
For sure.
That'd be great.
No.
Thanks.
especially with all the small complaints we have, right? You know,
Correct.
that administration gets and that.
Fortunately, most people are complying with
Yeah.
the orders that we issue, but
Yeah.
the odd time that we do have something that we have to actually go further with, it's nice to have that in place.
In regards to the representative from Tennis PEI, that was just sort of a facts-finding thing, initial discussions?
Initial discussions, and we do have another meeting arranged with them to kind of look at their project plans and how they want to move forward, some kind of business planning, so we can bring that forward with the other groups.
Now, when we talk about Tennis PEI, I know that's pretty generic, but what about the other racquetball sports, squash and handball and stuff like that?
Pickleball, they're all involved within
Okay.
that association, yes.
Right.
Any other comments or questions for our CAO? Oh, sorry.
Sorry,
Go
yes, I
ahead.
just have a question there. Jeremy, with regards to you met with the Grey Group.
Yes,
I'm just wondering, is there any plans to meet with council regarding their next steps as well?
I could ask them if that is something that we could set up. We were just most likely, or we're going through the actual next steps for their development plans and potential rezoning, but definitely we could set something out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be great.
Sure.
Thanks.
Yep.
Just a question, I guess Wendy's not here, but just wondering about the torchbearers, if we've, do the nominations come here, or do they go directly to the Canada Games Group?
They go directly to the Canada Games Group,
Okay.
but I think there's, last I heard, there was 27 or 30 nominations? Yeah, a little over
Okay.
30 nominations made.
Great, great.
Yeah.
And I believe the deadline is July 15th,
Yeah, that's
Correct.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
July 15th.
so it's this Friday.
I think there's a good mix of individuals that have been put forward, but I'm not sure of all the names.
I'm not
but-
sure how many they need, but there'll be, hopefully everybody will be able to participate that wants to
Sure.
touch the torch and carry it through. Yeah, great. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just on that topic, the torch there is a fantastic opportunity, like your worship, to participate and with the athletes, but residents to participate. It's a once in how many years, 20, 30 years opportunity, right? So it's,
91, I
you know,
think, was
yeah,
the last winter.
91, yeah, but it's a great opportunity. And I talked to a few people that talked to me about it as chair of recreation, and they're pretty ecstatic about it. So everybody's looking forward to it. The
Yeah.
Canada Games, everything else. So
That's
it's a
great.
really
Yeah.
great opportunity.
Oh, it's going to be great for the
Yeah.
island, that's for sure. Great for, hopefully great for our community too. Yeah, it'll be really good. Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Okay, if there's no other questions for the CAO, we'll now move on to safety services, item number 9, and we'll turn it over to the chair of that committee, Councillor Derek Smith.
Thank you, Your Worship. 9A, Safety Services meeting on the 27th of June. Most of this report has already been gone over in the last council meeting of last month. There's a few things I want to report that was brought up to our committee. The fire report, the fire company had their annual general meeting after our council meeting, and it was attended by a number of firefighters this year. So it was good to see them in the group and see what was going on. So wish them all the best for reporting to us. The RCMP report was gone over. There's not much. We went over it last month. We did talk about the new commanding officer coming here to the town hall and talking to the councilors with our group. We also talked about E-Watch, and we discussed that at length, and the committees were somewhat interested in E-Watch, but also other forms of cameras on the light poles and stuff like that. So that has to be explored, but there is a general interest with our committee on that. I want to thank the town for, we brought up the issue about cars parking on the active transportation trail in front of T Hill Park, but the town was proactive and they put up stakes and ropes and nobody parked there. So that was great to see. Thank you for doing that. The trail by the Bunbury Rink, the active transportation trail, it's an intersection that when you come off that trail onto Mason Road is very abrupt and you're on the Mason Road before you realize it. That was discussed and some action is going to be taken on that in regards to our safety of our citizens walking on that trail. We have a new digital radar sign that's going to be posted down around the Keppick Road area between Lighthouse Lane and Camp Ginjoff. That is an area that does not have one of these radar signs, and we're going to put the new one down there for people. We did have a lengthy discussion about Rosebank Road and its permanent speed bump, and we asked our committee what their thoughts were on it, and we discussed it with the council thoughts were on it, and I think we're pretty well on the same page. They have identified that there is an action need to be taken in that part of town, Rosebank Road. Letter regarding pesticide law was looked into, nothing to report back on that one. And that was pretty well it for the minutes, and again, we discussed most of these minutes with the last council meeting. Unless anybody has any questions on that?
Yeah, I just wondered about the permanent speed humps on Rosebank, if their letters have gone out, do you know?
Just finalizing the details, and then I will be forwarding the letters to council for review. And we were looking at 2, but we may have possibly 3 that we're going to put on Rosebank in order to cover all the bases. So myself and Joe were looking at them yesterday just to make sure we had the proper distance between them, and so that'll be coming here very shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Just a question, Councillor Smith. I noticed this year that the citizens on patrol were not present at Canada Day. Is there any reason for that? Because I know they were missed and
Numbers.
numbers.
Their numbers are down, and they're actively trying to recruit new members, but they're Friday and Saturday nights, they're booked solid, and they're just getting tired. So, yeah, they just couldn't do Canada Day for us this year.
I know their presence was missed, that's all.
Yeah. Indeed. Okay, if no more questions, we will move on to lighting report. We don't have any lighting report this month, Jeremy. None to report. We'll move on to Humane Society. Another standardized month. There's usually not too much to report there. Community patrols are at 50, and there's a few open cases and closed cases, but nothing really that warrants too much discussion, I believe, unless anybody has any questions about Humane Society. All right. We'll go into some good news. Transit. Numbers are starting to climb. 2020, we had 180 passengers per day within the town of Stratford. Now, if you notice, the only year that has been beaten this 2022 was 2019. So the numbers are taking an increase. I think people are realizing that the price of an automobile and gasoline cost a lot to go across that bridge. So people are taking the transit. That's great to see. I love to see it. I'd like to see the numbers go even higher. I want to remind the public that although gas went down last week, it is still approximately $2 a liter. So you think you're getting a deal, but it's still $2 a liter. So remember that, please. Any questions on transit? Okay. On to the fire company. We don't have the fire chief's report this month, but there's really nothing too special about the last month. We had, within the town of Stratford, 9 calls, 14 in total, and 2 were in Vernon River, which were assistance to Vernon River. Fire structure, smoke alarm, no fire, standardized stuff for the month. Really nothing too much to report in regards to operations. Kevin, the possible drowning, Michael Thomas Way, that's one of those false calls that we had? Okay, that was a false call then. All right, so, and again, it's just a standardized month. But I want to reiterate that we did have an annual meeting. It went smoothly again this year. Again, I brought up that the firefighters were there in numbers to see what was going on. And again, it is appreciate what they do for us and that they were there to view what was going on. The fire company is working with the fire department in regards to Bill Hogan's report that was released approximately a year ago now, Kevin?
2019.
Okay, with 2 years, with 3 years. There was 40 recommendations on that fire report. Most of them have been done. However, there was a few left. And Joyce Duffy and Carol Livingstone are the driving force on the board to get the policies set in place and reorganized and rewritten. And they have done that up for us, and I muchly appreciate their efforts on that. So we are heading towards all the points of Bill Hogan's report being covered. So thank you to those two. All right, any questions on firefighting? Okay, Constable Haight was talking to me this afternoon. Obviously, he had a call to go on. So we will attempt to go over his report and our findings.
He's here.
Oh, just regarding that last comment, he's here.
Welcome, yeah, welcome, Constable. Thanks for coming.
All right, so having said that, you may as well go close to the stand because I'm sure we're going to have questions.
Stand.
Well, to stand. Podium.
You're the judge?
Yeah, apparently.
Raise your right hand.
The RCMP statistic report that we look at every month is pretty standardized. Mischief on the first page on the property crimes, last line. There was 11 for the month. Constable Haight, anything there that?
Yeah, I had a quick review of it. First off, I want to apologize, I was running late. I was getting some fuel before the meeting, and there was a vehicle that I checked and ended up leading to dealing with something there for a while. So my apologies for being late. Yeah, in answer to your question, there was a few of those mischief calls were some graffiti that's still under investigation. Seems to be in around some of the Kepik Road area. So it's close in location, walking distance, so that leads us to believe it's the same individuals. So
Yeah.
right now, there's no charges laid in that investigation yet, or any of those 3 investigations.
So how much do you know about what they call tagging? Is it tagging? that
Yeah,
they-
two of those were tagging
So
incidents for
what
sure.
exactly is tagging?
It's basically, it's an identification of an individual that, this is how they identify in the public means that people can see it, that an artist or who they believe themselves to be an artist would do a tagging to identify that this is my work or my corner or this is my area.
Okay, all right, so different. All right, now, under the second page, just above other, check stops 2, you will see in your mayor's report, it says 1 checkpoint. The second checkpoint was done by the provincial highway unit of the RCMP in the town of Stratford. So there was 2 done, 1 by the outside traffic enforcement and 1 done by our own members. And, let's see, tickets for the month were 30. Now, the Trans-Canada Highway, the construction of, how is that affecting your traffic unit?
Right now, we're not receiving any complaints, but they're full-on construction out there, as you guys all are aware, traveling through every day. And we're seeing a push traffic flow going over to McKinnon Drive now, which is to be expected, and it's great that it's being taken place during non-school season. So that road is able to accommodate that extra traffic, and we're not dealing with school buses, parent drop-off, children walking and such. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm expecting some complaints of either road rage or workers calling in saying people aren't abiding by their direction or not staying in the appropriate pylon lanes. But fortunately, we haven't seen that increase yet, but I'm not sure the deadline, the termination date of the project out there, but it's going to be several weeks for sure. They are progressing well, surprisingly well, but I anticipate over the next month or so, some of those type of complaints that I talked about to come in.
So McKinnon Drive on one side of the Trans-Canada Highway, what about the Mason Road? Would that be used alternatively?
Some is, but I'm seeing the few days I've been on shift this block, I'm seeing a lot of it going over to McKinnon. I
Okay.
don't know if people are going for their McDonald's coffee or McDonald's meal or things that are businesses that are in that area. I don't see a lot of increase on Mason yet, and we're not getting any increased complaints on Mason yet. It stands to reason we should, because there are two main arteries going either side of it around the construction. And if somebody's going up Bunbury Road, that's the alternative they would take or should take to avoid the construction, but we haven't seen Mason Road increased yet, yeah.
Now, it would be safe to say to the public that you are watching that area.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
behave. The construction zone, speeding through a construction zone is it's pretty heavily fined now, is it not?
It's double what the standard would be in that zone, and for those that have been fortunate not, never to receive a speeding ticket, it's incremental speeds. The faster you're going, it's a larger dollar amount. So if it's a base, $1.50 per kilometer in that zone, in a construction zone, it actually doubles. So
Okay.
it's quite significant. It's quite a deterrent.
Yeah, okay.
And we actually had, last night when I was working on the bridge last night, the paving project, because that's two separate projects that's on the go, on the Hillsborough Bridge itself, they had highway safety there, an enforcement officer sitting in his truck with his red and blues flashing just to make it safe, and slowed him down last night as well too.
Okay.
So their highways themselves are doing what they can to make their staff safe.
I don't know who's responsible, but paving and working on that bridge in the nighttime is a bonus.
Yes, yes, very much so.
Mental Health Act, we had 7 calls, and 5 of those individuals had to be helped for assistance at the hospital. So that took away a bit of our time on the streets. 120 energy checks for the month. Also, this past weekend, although it is July now, there was the Cavendish Beach Music Festival. I want to inform the council and the public that Stratford was well policed on the weekend. There was no shortages of person power in this town. So it was policed here in Stratford. There was no officers moved out of the town. So I do appreciate the RCMP for looking after us.
And to that note, actually, the town might have benefited, on a side note, from the concert, because a lot of the officers from Kings County or from Montague Detachment began their shift down east and traveled through the town and might have stopped for the coffee or whatever. So there was extra vehicles, extra police presence in town en route. Some of our officers actually live in Stratford town or on the outskirts, and the organizers of the whole event for their RCMP had some extra vehicles, police resources from other districts parked at the Stratford Detachment. So there was extra presence of coming in and out of the building, using the washroom, things like that, grabbing their gear, and exiting the town, going to the festival. So.
Now, we'll get on to our meeting with the Chief Superintendent. I could pronounce his last name, but I'm going to call him Chief Superintendent Derek, because there's no way I'm going to pronounce that last name.
Santo Suso.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I just call him sir, so.
We met with the Chief Superintendent. I was terribly impressed with him. He came here, he was well informed and knowledgeable about the town of Stratford and our needs. We didn't have to explain anything to him. He was great there. He was on the same page, I felt, with us in regards to our needs. But the thing that I really admired is that he's going to become actively involved in the town planning in regards to our growth. And he wants to have input about our policing needs going into the future, and that's going to really help us. So I do appreciate that. Councilor McDougall brought that point up, and it was well explained and well thought out. I really appreciate that. In regards to policing cost, in regards to the back pay of the RCMP and the contract of the limit of 15,000 people within the town, we are lobbying to try to get that changed. We are not lobbying to get that changed to cost-save money. We are lobbying to get that changed so we can get additional police resources in this town, including e-cameras, extra officers, or extra equipment. So I want to tell the public that we're not trying to save on policing, we're trying to expand our policing for whatever funding means we get. So that is pretty well my report for the RCMP, and I'm sure we have some questions for the officer.
Any questions? Comments? Thank you very much, officer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is my report.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, we'll now move on to recreation, culture, and events. Thanks a lot. See. The chair of that recreation, culture, and events, the chair of that committee is Councillor Steve Gallant. I'll ask him to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just want to echo your comments earlier of Canada Day. There was a great day. I was pretty proud to be from Stratford and representing the Recreation Department. And I know my co-chair, Darren McDougall, and I were pretty proud, and especially with the work with Jeremy behind the scenes, and Tanya and Rachel and Dwayne and Tina. And also, I'm going to mention Gail. Gail helped out with the Masters, she was the lead there, and of course all the other councillors helped out with the ice cream, and it was the first time doing ice cream, and I tell you, I had a sore right arm after the day. But I wanted to, echo my thoughts, everybody around the table there, it was great. It was very well planned, and it was a great day, and like you say, over 2,000 people. I know I was on the golf carts looking after traffic, and I thought, as a former old traffic guy, it wasn't traffic, but we were looked after pretty good. Jeremy took the lead, and a lot of positive comments from picking up the residents back and forth, and because the long distance walk there is pretty. It's a long. You go to the far end of the road to the site itself is pretty long, but they appreciated the golf carts. It was a great gesture of that part. So, anyways, just want to thank everybody. I was very proud, and it was, and after that, I could say it here. We went that night up to Fox Meadows Golf Course, and the Fox Meadows put on a show there with the kids and the fireworks, and it was great to see that. That was the Grey group with the hunters chipping in there and helping out the town, and it was great. They're going to build on it. It's just there's probably about 100 and some kids up there that night, but it was a great atmosphere. And as soon as they're over, we're done. 10 o'clock. We're to come on to 10 and then gone out the door, right? 10:30. So anyway, my report in front of me is with Canada Day. I just went over more stuff there. It's just some of the stuff, and some of my highlights that day was the presentation of off my site here. Presentations of the Volunteer of the Year Award with Heidi. I'll just wait. Not Heidi. Dee Dee. Yeah. Just wait to get my report up here. Yeah. Move it down. I didn't bring my mouse tonight, so. So anyway, the Volunteer Awards of Edie Duncan and Khalad Shami, and great volunteers, and of course Harry James. It was sort of sentimental to me, and the late Harry James and his family there was great. And Harry did a lot of stuff, like these people here did a lot of stuff for our town, and it was great to give stuff back to them, because volunteers make great communities, and these three people make Stratford proud here. And I mean, it was just so great and positive. And then Wendy afterwards took the pictures, portraits, and so on. It was really, really good. So, then we moved down. Then I moved down to Stratford Youth and Centre Council. As a youth group, there are a few youth centre programs running through the summer. Youth Council meetings, Leadership Committee meetings, Garden Club. The Youth Centre recently hosted their end-of-season trip. The trip was open to any youth members that completed their minimum of 20 volunteer hours for the season. The trip was held on July 4th and went to Magic Mountain in Moncton, and 22 youth members and 4 staff attended. There were 6 members that had to cancel last minute due to illness. The youth center recently held their annual paintball game in June in Cavendish. This game was open to youth center members who complete a maximum of 20 volunteers out. It's a great trip here, and you see Rachel and Dwayne take these kids off to Moncton for the day, and it's just sort of a thank you from the town and then the volunteers. And then they were short some dollars and at the last minute because of prices, and they got it all came together. So it was pretty good to see that Dwayne and Rachel take these kids, these children, a big responsibility, right? Take them over to Moncton and for the day, but they're great kids, and they're ambassadors for our community, right? The Summer Fun Day was held on July 11th. There was a fundraising event hosted in conjunction with the Party Perfect, which included an inflatable set up at the gym in the town center. A bracelet for 2 hours of play was $10 in total. 109 bracelets were purchased throughout the day. Proceeds from the event went towards the Youth Council Leadership Committee trips to the summer. The Youth Council is currently planning their six-day trip to Quebec and Ontario for July 29th, August 3rd this year. The Youth Center Leadership Committee is currently planning for a 3-day trip again in Moncton on August 22nd and 24th. The Youth Council is currently planning a new project to create community food pantry for the residents of Stratford. The pantry will provide a space to distribute food to those that are in need. The council is currently putting together a proposal to apply for a provincial grant under the Island Community Food Security Incentive. Just moving down here to the events, Stratford recently launched a summer movie series, and the first movie I was here was about over 100 some kids here on a weeknight, and last night the Minions were here, and they had over 35, 40 kids, but it's really good. It's taken off, and then the food and everything's supplied by the youth center. We're selling popcorn and so on, so it's a fundraiser, and working out really well. Just wait to get my down here again. I lost my thing. Apologize. And
Lots of new movies coming up too, eh? There's
yeah.
Avengers, Endgame, and Encanto, Aladdin, 2019, and Cars coming up over the next.
And then down the end, at the end here, for the second year in a row, the Heart Center Theatre for Seniors will be hosting a performance of Fascinating Ladies at Cotton Park on July 16th at 2 p.m. There's no cost, and everybody's welcome to attend. So they're setting up there now. Of course, all the programs, the summer programs are operational at the start of July. Aside from the traditional summer and minor sport and recreation program, the town is proud to provide a program for youngsters, adults, and seniors. The summer camp started July 4th. Under 4 youth soccer started July 2nd. Introduction to sports started on July 5th. Co-ed adult volleyball is offered the summer months at 8 to 9:30 p.m. in the gym. Tennis PEI will be offering a series of lessons and league play in Pondside Court. GOPI walking group offered weekly in partnership with Reactive Health. Because the gym and fitness center, the fitness area is averaging 72 people a day. With the weather getting nicer, daily fitness area users typically drop down until late September or early October. The sports fields are up and going. They're busy. The 4 sports ball fields are programmed to full capacity during prime time hours. Softball and baseball are using our regional fields to help support the required practice and game times. Fullerton's multi-purpose shall operate on a decreased level this summer. The field will see flag football, lacrosse, soccer being played until September. Another positive to this would be more visitors to the multi-facet Fullerton's Creek Conservation Park, who gets experience new natural playground, and 4 kilometers of trails. Down to active transportation. Town has allotted a staff member to maintain the 35 kilometers of active transportation network within the community. The trail network continues to expand on an annual basis and has proven to be extremely well utilized throughout the calendar year. Members of the town staff were recently able to walk the Baker's Trails with resident Don Baker. There are over 4 kilometers of walking, hiking, and biking trails that traverse public and private property and offer a chance to enjoy nature at its very best. And then in closing here, the Canada Winter Games torchbearers, the town of Stratford would like to encourage Stratford residents to nominate themselves, friends, or family to be a torchbearer for the 2023 Canada Winter Games. The town will host the torch relay in early February as the Canada Winter Games relay wraps up after a 4-month journey through island communities. More details will be announced in late fall as this as to Stratford's festivities for the torch relay event, and residents can nominate via the PEI Games website. So that's my report there, Your Worship, and anybody have any questions?
Any questions or comments? Thank you for your report.
Yeah, I'd just like to have Jeremy would speak on the ball fields, our baseball fields and our softball. It's just, I know our kids are still traveling outside Stratford, but which we're moving forward here next year with the community campus. So I just wanted to pass the message on to parents and residents.
Yeah, I think it's been something we've talked about over the recent years in terms of our ball fields and our soccer fields. Even cricket is wildly growing. It's probably the fastest growing sport in our community. So I think in time when the community campus gets developed, it'll be very well received by our community in that they are able to do all their sports within the community.
Thank you. Jeremy?
Thanks, Chairman.
It is my understanding that the cricket membership now has outgrown baseball numbers. Is that true?
Yeah, cricket has gone from roughly 60 members in the 4 years that I've been here to almost 400. And then that's just in terms of registered players. They have far more than that. Canada Day, for example, they had a match set for 5:45 the day of Canada Day. And when we were, the parking lot was empty and they were all arriving at 4 o'clock wanting to get started to get a little extra field time prior to the game. So it's unfortunately the only field really on PEI is here in Stratford. Other communities haven't embraced it like we have, and they love being here, and we love having them here. But yeah, that's definitely a group that requires an extra field or even two within our community or nearby neighboring communities.
So saying that, are they in discussion with the community campus? Are they interested there?
Yes, they are,
So
yes.
are they interested in another cricket field or a new cricket field?
A second field.
Really?
It'd be great to have, in our discussions with them, they'd like to have an indoor facility as well. They'd be willing to engage in conversations in terms of fundraising and to help offset some of the cost of that, of a potential indoor development, because they can't get access to the indoor Norton Diamond Center. It's just, it's already really booked up with soccer and lacrosse and baseball and that sort of thing, so they don't have no real access to indoor facilities. We try to accommodate them at their schools in the wintertime. They've done so the last 2 winters. But yes, the second field would be one essentially for practice and one for their games.
Okay. So moving on to the next one, Deputy Mayor Clow mentioned last year in regards to the soccer fields and baseball fields about them not being used all the time. And I have to agree with him on that. And I got to thinking, like, the hockey rinks are pretty full all the time with people using them, and yet our baseball fields and soccer fields are not being used at certain times. Is there no time for these people to get on these fields in off hours, or what's going on there?
There's having access to the fields Monday to Friday during the day is the fields are open and we've offered them, but the unfortunate part is that most of their coaches and managers, I guess as they're called in those sports, are adults that have jobs that just simply can't get there during the off hours or the non-prime hours. But the fields are booked essentially 4 o'clock till 10 o'clock weekday evenings and then also Saturday and Sunday. We do run into issues where a team will have a visiting game somewhere and fails to communicate that back to either their ball association or the softball association to try to get another team. So it does become a little frustrating to see fields empty during prime time hours, but we continually work with them, and overall they do a very good job of trying to replace field times with other teams that need them.
In the Fulton Marsh area, that has been converted over to lacrosse and soccer also?
It's kind of like an overflow field for the community, so we actually host softball practices up there. There's soccer up there it's utilized. Lacrosse program is starting up here at the end of July. Flag football is on there during the months of May and June into early July, so it kind of encompasses all the sports and allows everybody an extra field, so if they so need it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, any other comments or questions? Thank you for your report, Councillor Gallant.
Thank you, Worship.
Okay, we'll now move on to item number 11, Finance and Technology. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Gail McDonald, to give her report.
Thank you, Your Worship. So all the reports are in your package. I'll briefly go over what the staff has been doing for the last month. So the auditors were in for quite some time, and they kept the staff busy answering a lot of questions, getting to the point of getting that report ready. We're hoping to have it by July 22nd, but I believe that date has now been moved out, and we're hoping to have it pressed by the end of July. So we plan to review it with the Finance Committee as well as Council before it's released. They're also reviewing the Canoe Procurement Group. It's a partner with FPIM. It's been around for 2 or 3 years at this point. But it would give us access to public sector pricing for a large group of items. So the Finance Department is having another look at that. We're also looking at working on a tourism levy for the town. So it's been presented to Finance Committee. They had a few questions, so a follow-up email has been sent to them, and it's going out. It's actually been out to the Sustainability Committee as well for their review. So more on that probably at the next committee of the whole. The July utility bills have been mailed and should be received by residents on or before tomorrow. The e-bills have already been sent out on July 6th, and the payment due date for both of these versions is August 15th. They're also reviewing an affordable housing rebate, which will require an amendment to our bylaw. And they're working on adding components to Town Suite Asset Management Module for GIS, and also working on replacing ViewWorks. So they've been having training on, it's called 311 Service Request Training in Town Suite. So it's going to be just a different way for us to look after complaints that come in from the public and how we follow up on those complaints. Yeah. So the income statements are also in your package. So, and snapshot of today, the town of Stratford revenue is down just by 2%, and the expenses are down 10% as of the end of June 2022. And in the utility, revenue is down 4%, and expenses are down 1%. So if there's any questions about the statement or my report, myself or my director will be glad to respond. That's my report.
Any questions or comments for
Yeah, I have
Councillor McDonald?
a couple of questions. The Canoe Group, that's the cost-saving thing that we're involved in.
Mhm.
Is the fire company, can they access that?
I'm going to let Kim respond to that. I don't know if they can do it directly or it has to be done through the town sort of
Yeah.
thing.
I'm not 100% sure on that. We can check with our account manager and see if they can access pricing through there. They might just have to set up their own account with Canoe. But they definitely deal with a lot of municipalities that would have their own fire departments, so they do have access to those type of supplies.
Yeah, I know that we order our fire trucks, and they are getting quite expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and rightfully so. And comments to the Bank of Canada announced 1%.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to affect us?
It'll affect us, of course, like our interest rates will go up just like everybody else's. Yeah. Now, like our big projects haven't happened yet. Like we're still trying to get our projects off the ground. So that's why we haven't really looked at negotiating pre-approval pricing, because you can only have them like maybe 6 months out. So they're, depending on how our projects move, the bigger projects move forward, we don't want to go get a rate and then not need the money in 6 months' time. We might need it closer to a year out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, thanks for your report. No other comments or questions? Thanks. Okay, we'll move on then to Next item, Planning, Development, and Heritage. And I'll ask the new chair of that committee to give his report, Councillor Darren McDougall.
Thank you, Your Worship. That was my inaugural meeting with the Planning Department. Of course, replacing Councillor Burridge, who moved on to a new career and decided perhaps that it may be a perceived or some perceived conflict may arise because of her choice in her new career. So I took over those responsibilities, and yeah, we had our first meeting. The permit summary and whatnot is contained in your package, and I have also a couple of resolutions here tonight to read. Highlights from our meeting. We were discussing various things in relation to the development permits and whatnot, but I guess if I could capture a highlight, we had a good discussion about the home occupation and the bylaw amendment that's being proposed. And in your package, you can review that in the minutes from that meeting. But it was a good discussion. It's a very informed group in the planning department and the committee. So I did a lot more listening than talking. We touched on some other important matters for the town as well, and updated on the Grey Group development and Crossroads development and whatnot. But beyond that, I think you can capture everything there in your package, and if anybody has any questions, by all means, ask myself or Director Kevin.
Just one minor thing with the minutes. I did attend that meeting, so
You did, I can confirm that.
So
You're not there?
It was a very good meeting. You did a great job with your first meeting, so it was great. Yeah, it was good discussion.
Yeah, I see that you're not, so I guess whomever it is that amends that and can pull that off. Any questions for myself or Kevin? All right.
Thanks for your report. I believe you have a couple of resolutions.
I do.
Councillor McDougall, do you want to talk about the home occupation now? How did you perceive it after your first meeting there as chair? Do you like the way it's going?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
certainly do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've, our planning department has done a lot of work
Yeah.
ensuring that it's the way it should be, and, yeah. No, most definitely.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah, we will be, it'll be brought to us, obviously, at
Yeah.
I'm sure Committee of the Whole would be our first stop, but yeah, it's,
I saw that if you breach the bylaw, Councillor, they could put on hold, sort of, the business on hold. If somebody opened a business without permission or without, they can put it on hold and then they can go back to it, or I just skimmed through.
put the application on hold.
Yeah,
We had a discussion, that was part of what we did discuss. I mean, it's like anything. You can notify them in writing that they're to cease operations
yeah,
while the application is being reviewed. And then the other piece there is, do they? And if they don't, what's the next step?
Yeah.
That was a concern that,
yeah.
or that was a question I had
Yeah.
personally. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's a work in progress, so there will be.
Yeah, I saw that in the planning minutes. It was a great,
Yeah.
great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a comment on the development summary. It's good to see the, excuse me, the numbers going, and it's positive there from 26 million, or 24 million this time last year to 30 million this year. That's going in the right direction.
Yeah. It's reflective too of the increased cost to build year over year
That's
as
true,
well.
too.
But yeah, there's lots going on still.
Okay, please proceed with your resolutions.
All right. So, resolution number PH 026-2022-DP 084-22- The Gray Group, Concord Properties Limited, Jubilee Road Service Station. Whereas an application has been received from the Gray Group, Concord Properties, Inc., to develop a commercial service station on a portion of parcel number 328039, approximately 2.21 acres, located on the corner of Trans-Canada Highway and Jubilee Drive. And whereas the property is located within the town center core area and is zoned Town Center Commercial Zone, TCC. The development proposal includes a 2,000 square foot convenience store, retail gasoline outlet, an additional 2,200 square foot adjoined commercial space with drive-through, and an additional 3,000 square foot freestanding commercial building with a proposed double-lane drive-through. And whereas, in accordance with the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw, Section 13.4.3, this application is considered a special permitted use, and therefore council shall ensure that property owners within 61 meters, 200 feet, of the subject property are notified in writing and asked to provide their comments. And whereas a public meeting was held at 7 p.m. on June 22nd, 2022, at Stratford Town Center and was also live streamed. The public were given until noontime on June, it reads 9, but it should be June 29, yeah, 2022, to provide comments on the proposed special permitted use. No comments have been received from the public. And be it resolved that council shall grant approval to an application received from the Gray Group to develop a commercial petroleum service station on a portion of parcel 328039, approximately 2.21 acres, located on the corner of Trans-Canada Highway and Jubilee Drive, subject to the following conditions. Conformance with the conceptual drawings is attached to the application submitted to the town, that comments and/or approval shall be received from the following: Department of Transportation and Infrastructure, and B, Department of Environment, Energy, and Climate Action. 3, a detailed servicing plan must be submitted for approval to the Stratford Utility Corporation. 4, that a storm water management plan be designed by a qualified engineer and submitted to the town, NDOTI, for approval. 5, a detailed landscaping plan must be submitted by a qualified expert outlining the details and quantities of the material to be used. And 6, all other relevant provisions of the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw number 45 are met. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on July 4th, 2022. So moved.
Now, thank you, and that's with the typographical error corrected there, that it should be June 29th for the date for the comments, okay?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, any discussion? Anybody, would you like to?
It just says an observation or a statement. This will be our third service station within the town of Stratford and the surrounding areas, because I don't think there's any service stations outside of Stratford anymore. And this service station, although it's being built today, is basically for tomorrow, because the town is going to grow. There's all indications the town is going to grow, and we need these services in place to go ahead with that. Would you, Kevin, would you think that would be somewhat of a true statement?
Yeah, it's really a licensing thing that IRAC control, and they've issued an additional retail gasoline license for this location, so that this feel that there's adequate market there for it.
Yeah. So I mean, from what all indications, and every month we see it, this town has grown, and people need services. So it's good to see it coming. I'm fully in agreement with this.
Any other comments or questions? This is, I think there's a rendition of the actual mock-up, or I guess that's an illustration of what it might look like, a...
Conceptual drawing.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's going to be 2 buildings, and this is the main service station building, but there's going to be an additional building on that lot also. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's yet to come, but it is shown on the site plan here.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
And also, Kevin, the trail up here is going back, right?
That's correct.
Back here?
Yeah, the trail will be accommodated to the north side of the extension of Shakespeare Drive,
Yep.
which will connect to the gravel trail over to Williams Gate.
Good.
And the extension of Shakespeare Drive, that'll be done by the Gray Group, eh?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
As part
yeah.
of this development, yes.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a subdivision of this lot that will come once that road is even constructed. This lot will then be subdivided off. It'll be on its own freestanding lot with access on Jubilee and the extension of Shakespeare.
And is the other side of the road, is that commercial, or is that...
Up here,
yeah,
it's also currently town center commercial.
okay, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion, any other comments?
Kevin, I have is this part and parcel of the $1 billion infrastructure the Grey Group's going to initiate for the town?
I assume so.
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure, but yes, I would assume it is.
Yeah, so that's good news, and you know, especially with the roundabout, everything is good. We're going to hopefully develop our downtown core. We'll have it.
We wouldn't know the projected dollar amount until they actually apply for a building permit, eh?
They have an application in, we don't have the construction drawings yet, so they don't have a cost estimate prepared
Okay.
yet. They may have a cost estimate themselves, but we don't have an actual construction value
Sure.
yet. It'll be put in the building permit summary table once the permit's issued.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no more questions or comments, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Oh, sorry,
Aye.
do you have a comment, Councilor McDonald? No?
Just ready to vote.
Ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried.
Okay, so another resolution here, number PH 027-2022, home occupation and general text amendment, Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45, public meeting. Whereas the planning department has been conducting research to update the home occupation section of the Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw number 45 to bring the bylaw up to date with other municipalities in the area. And whereas the planning department has also identified some general text amendments that are required to help clarify bylaw number 45. And whereas pursuant to section 3 of the zoning and development bylaw, it is required that a public meeting be held to solicit public input from residents and any proposed bylaw amendments. Be it resolved that council shall call a public meeting at 7 p.m. on July 27th, 2022, to solicit public input from residents on proposed amendments to home occupation as well as general text amendments to help clarify bylaw number 45. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning and Heritage Committee as discussed at a meeting held on July 4th, 2022. So moved.
Thank you. Okay, so the text amendments are included in the package, eh? They're in the 1 and 2, the comparisons of home occupation treatment in different municipalities, great analysis there. And the new draft is in your package also for discussion. And that's what will be the subject of the public meeting, eh, Councillor McDougall?
Yes, my understanding is, for sure.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Anything you'd like to add, Kevin?
Sir, dated, it's up to date right now.
I think maybe just to draw your attention to some of the detailed discussion that was held at the planning board meeting. Basically, in all of the information that's been reviewed from the various jurisdictions, it's coming down to a number of questions that the public and council are going to have to consider at the end of the day when we look at home occupations. One of the questions is included in your package. Should the number of employees for home occupations be limited? If so, how many? And then we talk about the results from the various communities that we looked at of how many communities do limit the number of employees. Another is how many parking spaces should be permitted. Should it be per employee or per client? And then again, we talk about the number of municipalities and how it works out in each one. Should the hours of operation be restricted? If so, what should the restrictions be? Another question, should council have the discretion to restrict or further restrict hours of operation based on the type of use? Another question is, what should the maximum number of clients be in a home occupation at any one time? And if the maximum number of clients allowed by staff is exceeded, should council have the ability to exceed that maximum number? So that's kind of a quick summary of all the information that we reviewed. These are the questions that are generated that really are going to help guide us to how the final proposed amendments will happen. It really comes down to the type of use, the number of employees, the number of clients, and ultimately the number of parking spaces to try and gauge what types of businesses should be allowed to operate as home occupations versus other ones that should be restricted. Some additional text that we added or are proposing to add into the bylaw are the types that are not proposed to be permitted. So in our current bylaw, we have generalized comments on the types that would be allowed. What we're proposing to do based on research from other jurisdictions is actually list which specific ones are not allowed to be home occupations, as well as expand on the list of ones that are permitted, to try and better give staff and council a better understanding of what exactly will be permitted. For the most part, we'd like this to be able to be handled at staff level, but we do still think there is the opportunity that if somebody comes with a home occupation that does not fit through the box and is outside the ability for staff to do it, council may have the ability to give consideration to that with other types of conditions or whatnot added to it. So those are the questions basically that we've pulled out of this information that we really have to try and get feedback from, and we've got feedback from our planning board members on that so far, but we'd like to get feedback from the public and then ultimately feedback from council on those. So does that help clarify?
What about penalty enforcement? Is that going to be part of the public meeting, or is that anything else?
There are bylaw enforcement provisions within the bylaw now. I think we kind of got into a discussion on, you know, if somebody's making an application for something and during the application process, if we're considering it, which we are doing now, we're considering amending the bylaw, should there be any potential penalties, or should the person be actually allowed to apply at the end of the day? We're not sure of the legalities there, but we'll have to look into that, and that will be something that we'll have to bring back as an answer. So.
And we have looked at other communities and seen what they're doing there in that area too.
Yeah, bylaw enforcement is pretty typical everywhere. It's just to what level do you take it? Having somebody not able to apply for a particular use because they contravened your bylaw, that's something we have to make sure that we would have the legal jurisdiction to do. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think this is an example of good staff work, excellent staff work actually, that it's really a credit to your department, the work that was done here. I think it's something that's, I think gives the information to council and to the public, and this resolution for whether or not to hold a public meeting will give a lot of information if it goes forward, if the public meeting is approved, and I think there will be an opportunity to add more information that will be useful to council in their decision making. So thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yep.
Thanks a lot. Great work.
I'm going to thank the town planner and the planning and development technician for all their work on this. So they did all the background work. I'm just reading it.
Good work. Before you leave, I have a few questions there for you, Kevin. This meeting, where is it going to be held?
It'll be held here in the council chambers. Yes. Yep.
And it is going to be a public meeting, or is it going to be soon public?
It'll be public meeting in person and live streamed as well.
Okay, so.
Yeah, it'll be both.
And obviously, you're making changes here. So these are for changes for the act only. So if somebody wants to open up a business, is there going to be a public meeting for that business at that part of the town?
No, what we're proposing to do is make amendments to the existing home occupation section of the bylaw now. So you can come to the planning department now and you can apply at staff level for numerous types of home occupations. One that we've recently been challenged with does not fit that criteria. So we've been asked to review the bylaw, look at what other jurisdictions allow. That's what we've done with the research. That's why we generated these questions and why we want to have a public meeting to discuss about propose or possibly changing our existing regulations. The intent is, at the end of the day, that the majority of the businesses will be able to apply at staff level and get approval under a development agreement. They'll have restrictions that they'll have to operate under, but for the most part, unless there's something that's outside the box and council has to give special consideration to it, for the most part, it'll be handled at staff level.
Okay, so this is for the whole town of Stratford. This is not for a certain section of
Nope,
Stratford.
this is
for
the
whole
entire
town.
town, yeah.
So the public has to be aware that this law affects them. So if somebody wants to open up some kind of a shop in their neighborhood, they're going to be facing that. So
Yep,
we want
absolutely.
public input from the whole town here.
Yes, I agree.
So IRAC, can they become involved in this if a business is accepted or declined, or?
IRAC is really their
development.
power is if there's a decision made that somebody wants to challenge, whether there was a correct decision made on approval or denial of an application, and somebody wants to challenge that decision-making process, that's where IRAC's authority comes into play.
And in your study, traffic flow in the area, is that a consideration?
Yep, it is. It's one of the items that's listed in the data that we have there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think Councillor Smith does raise an interesting point, and that is that there's always the challenge of making sure that our policy matches our bylaws, so that this is reflected in the official plan as well, eh?
It is. The official plan is quite open-ended for allowing home occupations. I don't have the actual policy statement in front of me here, but we did talk about it at Planning Board. When we reviewed the bylaw in 2018, and I do believe it was an error that occurred, but where we actually removed the ability for council to give consideration to a type of home occupation that is not listed in the list. We actually think that may have been an error at that time. The author is no longer here, so we can't ask that direct question, but that's why we're back looking at that now. But we're also looking at adding some additional text to the section to make it more clear as to what you can and cannot do if you're to operate a home occupation in the town.
And I think the intent that's in the policy is that we allow entrepreneurs or people that want to try a business or whatever to have a start, if possible, in their home or whatever, and then as it becomes more successful to move it to a commercial area or whatever, so it doesn't become an irritant for the neighbors. And there's certain types of businesses that are home occupations that just are not suitable for residential areas.
Such as retail. Retail are not suitable type businesses for home occupations, and we're now proposing to actually have that in a list.
Yeah.
These businesses are not permitted as home occupations,
And
and
some
there's a
of
list of
them
them there.
are self-evident, and then those that generate a lot of traffic or those that generate a lot of noise or smell or some sort of irritant or things that would bother neighbors, and typically noise and that sort of thing. So.
A lot of home-based business are appointment-based businesses. So there's mechanisms in place to control the number of people that are coming and going to the properties, the overlap of those things. But that's when we get into how many clients should a home occupation be able to have on property at one time? How many employees should a home occupation be able to have? Some people run a home occupation, it's just themselves doing consulting work or something like that. For the most part, it's virtual. Those are not really any type of an issue. It's when you have clientele coming to and from your property, that's when you have to give consideration to how many parking spaces should you have? This is only a secondary use to the property. We want the primary use to the property to still be residential. But again, we want to allow some flexibility. We want to allow people to generate new businesses that could potentially grow to a point that they would get moved into a commercial area. But we've had people do the complete opposite. We've had hairdressers, for instance, that have worked for years in a shop. They've downsized. They have clientele. They put a single seat in their own home, and they just have a clientele that they use, like, maybe even on a part-time basis. So there's a lot of different considerations to give here on home
And
occupations.
in some cases, it does provide a service to
Absolutely.
to the community.
Absolutely.
For example,
Yep.
childcare and,
Yep.
some of those types of businesses. Even, businesses that provide an entertainment or something that, as long as it doesn't create an irritation.
Yeah, it's the
or a
balance.
problem for
It's the balance.
neighbors,
That's key. Yep.
Something that can be accommodated. Okay, we have a move.
No, I have a couple
sorry,
more
go ahead.
additional questions. When you talk about home-based businesses, have we contacted the businesses in town to see how they're going to be affected? Because there are some businesses, open up a shop, paying rent every month. What was their feelings on this? I guess that's for the public meeting, right?
They'll be able to comment on it at the public meeting, just like any member of the public can. You could be a residential property owner or a business owner within the community to be able to comment on this. Yeah, and we'll ensure that we ensure that the business people within the community will be notified of this, so they're aware of the public meeting as well, so they can understand what it may, if there's any impacts on them, what it may be.
Now, is there going to be a list of types of businesses in this order, or is there going to be?
They are listed, they are proposed to be listed as they're in there now,
So-
and then there's also a list of what's not permitted.
Okay. Can you put something in there like, because we don't know what the future is going to bring and different types of businesses are going to start up. Can we put something in there, any business that the council deems to be, needs to be approved or something like that, a catch-all phrase?
There is, it basically says, notwithstanding subsection 829 above, council may permit business and professional uses not listed above, which, in the opinion of council, are appropriate in accordance with the provisions of this section, including appointment-based home occupations that provide lessons and/or instructional training.
Okay, that covers us.
So that's the area, that's the clause that we had in the bylaw formally. So if it didn't fit through and staff couldn't assess it, council and we're proposing to also expand the amount of information that a business has to submit to the town, so we can assess it properly to ensure that it's not creating an issue that might be above the, like, we can't say that a home-based business isn't going to generate any traffic, because it is, but nothing above the normal generation of traffic within a typical residential subdivision.
Taxation. Yeah, how are they taxed?
I don't know the answer to that. That would
We
be,
did raise that question, and it was, they can't change, and Kim confirmed that we can't change the tax designation of a resident. The province has to do that. It has to be done through the province. So
Right.
they determine the status of taxable properties in the town.
Okay, good, so good.
Yeah. Okay, we have a moved and seconded.
Could I just?
Oh, go
make a
ahead.
Comment there. The only thing I was thinking about here is that July and August for a public meeting, I'm just hoping we're going to get people to come out, because people are on holidays, and who wants to go to a meeting in the summer type of thing. So I'm just hoping that we are going to get the numbers at the meeting from the businesses and from the residents in the town, so.
Yeah, I hope so too. yeah.
That's the only comment I have, because it's a tough time, and it's a short summer.
But it is being streamed, and, yeah, so they'll have the opportunity, and it's recorded after the fact, so there will be a period of time after the public meeting to provide input. Is that right, Kevin?
that is correct, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So there will be probably a 2-week period, is it, or something?
No,
like
it won't be, not the way that the month runs this month. It's not proposed to be a 2-week period. I think it's only 3 days
Okay.
between the public meeting and when our next planning board meeting is going to be. It's just the way that the Wednesdays fall in July. And I mean, this is a proposed date. We're only moving the things forward to ensure that we're, when we had the research done, we're bringing it forward through planning board, and we're just having a discussion with council and calling the public meeting. We understand I don't think there's any really an ideal time to host a public meeting or a time of day or, you know, I think live streaming it has really changed people's ability to be able to see it, not necessarily in person, but watch the recorded version of it afterwards and have a number of days to respond, I think has really changed the reach of a public meeting. People could be at the soccer field and they could be watching it on their phone if they want to watch it live, or they could watch the recording afterwards.
Yeah, and it is something that if someone has an interest, there'll be lots of public notice.
Yeah,
we'll do our social media and the paper or whatever, however we're required to do it, but it usually gets the message out pretty well that there is a public meeting.
It does, and I
It
think
is
there's a
what
lot
it's
of,
about.
I think there's a lot of interest just generated around this table. There's a lot of questions, and we're hoping that those are, you know, people will come out and they'll ask those questions, because that's ultimately what we need to be able to, you know, propose what these amendments should be. We need to hear from people. What should restricted hours of operation be? What should the maximum number of employees be? What should the maximum number of clients be? You know, we want these things to be able to function within the community, but we want to know what parameters ultimately are people satisfied with.
So having said that, we advertised on Ocean 100 different things within the town of Stratford. Could we look at advertising, because a lot of people listen to that radio station? And I know we have to go in the newspaper.
We could. I'm not sure if we can meet the timeline. I think those are things that I'd have to ask Wendy, and unfortunately Wendy's not here, but I can't
Okay.
comment on that at this time. We're required to put it in the newspaper, which is maybe, you know, one of the less effective ways of getting the word out now. But with all the social media things we have a mass email listing that we could potentially send it out to as well. Like I think there's ways for us to get the word out on this and hopefully get people that have questions that will come and comment.
Okay, thanks very much, Kevin.
Okay.
And,
Just great work, Kevin and Dale, and everything is, we recognize there's some problems, outdated a bit, so we're just trying to
Yep.
make it stronger for our residents who live in that area and neighborhoods and so on. It's great work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Okay, we have a moved and seconded motion on the floor. We've had a discussion. Any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll now move to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, so the public meeting will be held July 27th, and it'll be in this room. And I now would call upon Deputy Mayor Gary Clow, who's the chair of the Infrastructure Committee, to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to report on a few items the Infrastructure Department is working on, plus I have a couple of resolutions to present this evening. The Pondside Watershed Restoration, an application has been submitted for a permit to proceed with the work on the Moores Pond and wetland area. The construction drawings are being finalized for tendering, with work anticipated to begin in August. Addition of hydrants in core area. 2 bids were received for this work, and a resolution is being brought forward this evening with recommendations for awarding the work to Burton McKay Backhoe Service Limited. The work is anticipated to be complete prior to school reopening in September. The Keppick Road sidewalk replacement, a tender is now being advertised for the replacement of older, narrow sidewalks between Pondside and Woodland Drive, approximately 250 meters. Bids will be received on July 22nd, with work anticipated to be completed by mid-October. The Corey's Pump Station upgrades, a tender is now being advertised for the upgrade work, with bids to be received on July 14th. We have heard that there are very long delivery times for pump station components and generators, up to a year. We will know more on schedule of the work when the bids are received. The new water reservoir, the option of a design-build contract for the work is being reviewed, and an RFP will be issued later this month. The community campus site servicing, the consultant continues to work on the design of the site of servicing. Approvals for stormwater management and intersection alignments are being sought from the province. We continue to meet with the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure to coordinate servicing for the new high school. Bunbury Sewer Pump Station upgrades. Funding has been approved through the Municipal Strategic component, and the RFP is being prepared for the design of the upgrades. As noted above, there is a long delay on supply of material for these projects, so there is uncertainty as to when the work may be completed. The Kinloch Road Multi-Purpose Trail funding has been approved through the PEI Active Transportation Fund for the section of trail to span from JK Beauty Lane to the Trans-Canada Highway intersection. The RFP is being prepared for the design of the project. The staff have been busy with grass cutting, flower beds, planter boxes, sports field maintenance, playground maintenance, building maintenance, bylaw complaints, investigations are ongoing, tenders, preparation for capital equipment and vehicle purchases. Sewer water monitoring and maintenance is ongoing, and water system sampling and maintenance is ongoing, water and sewer inspections and water turn-ons for new developments. And during the month of June, there was no major sewer water emergencies. A leak in the 6-inch sewer 4 main on Mason Road was discovered and repaired. So that's my report, Your Worship, for the infrastructure for the month of June. If there's any questions, myself or Jeannie will provide answers.
Okay, I just have one, Deputy Mayor. Just wondering about the waterfront. I know so there's been some activity there lately. I understand that they're turning over the wet area to try to get it dried out. I hope that's going to progress soon. Anyway, I see Jeannie's at the microphone, so maybe.
Well, yeah, everybody's wondering what's happening down at the waterfront, so
Yeah.
we'll ask Jeannie to explain. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. They have come back and scraped off the greenery that was growing down there and turned over the top layer of material that was sitting quite wet. It's what we were waiting for that to dry out so they could get equipment back on. So they've turned that over with the dry weather and the wind we've been getting. It is effective, so we're just waiting a few more days of this, and they should be able to level that off and get more topsoil in and do the hydro seeding.
Yeah, it'd be great to have that completed because it's something that I think residents are really looking forward to with anticipation, and they're eagerly awaiting it. Yeah, so it'll be good to see that.
We all are, yes.
That done.
I have the same question too, Jeannie. This is just with the landscaping too. I know we cleaned up the area there. You're going to paint, one of the buildings going to be painted?
Yes.
The painting of the building, our existing maintenance building, will be
Clean it up.
painted to match the new pump station building.
Yeah.
And we are ready to schedule that. I'm going to contact, SprayNet is going to do that for us. So we're going to contact them and get them, we're ready to have that done anytime,
Yeah.
so,
And the RFP I see in the government website there is out for the boardwalk,
yes.
and that closes this month,
It closes tomorrow.
tomorrow, yeah.
We had requests for an extension. It was to close last Thursday, but
Okay.
we extended it 1 week.
Okay.
So we're receiving proposals tomorrow, hoping to get 3 or 4,
Yeah.
which we'll review and rate them, and we'll be looking to bring a recommendation forward to award that for design services as quickly as we can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Question, the active transportation trail that's going in, I can't express how much the seniors of that area are really excited about getting that trail put in there. There's a lot of people who walk on a regular basis, and they have to cross that road. So that trail is going to be a blessing for them, and they're really excited about that. Having said that, Jeremy, will we be able to put a crosswalk in there now with that active transportation trail on one side, sidewalk on the other one?
Should be, yeah.
Okay, because I understand, like, there's actually 2 communities of seniors now on either side of the road, and they go back and forth and visit. And, yeah.
We
So
will
we'll be able to
definitely,
look at a crosswalk
yeah, we
there.
can include that and put the request into the province to have that
Yeah.
identified as a
But
crosswalk.
upon hearing that trail going in, the seniors are excited, I must say.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And the boardwalk is going to be soon, Jeannie, going on the waterfront?
Yeah, we were just saying that it's going to be closing.
Yeah.
We're getting the proposals in tomorrow. Yeah,
Okay,
we'll move forward with that as quickly as we can.
great.
Okay, you have a couple of resolutions here, Deputy Mayor.
Yes. First one is number INC 004-2022, additional hydrants in core area. Whereas 2 tenders were received on June 22nd, 2022 for the supply and installation of 10 hydrants along McKinnon and Glen Stewart Drive as followed. Burt McKay Backhoe Service Unlimited, $284,500. Burt Hill Construction, $418,000. And whereas funding has been approved in the capital budget for $200,000, and whereas reduced scope of work was negotiated with the low bidder, Burt McKay Backhoe Service Limited, to allow for 7 hydrants to be installed. Whereas Burt McKay Backhoe Service Limited has agreed to supply and install 7 hydrants for a cost of $199,150. Excluding HST. Be it resolved that the additional hydrant in core area tender reduced scope be awarded to Burt McKay Backhoe Service Limited in the amount of $199,150, HST excluded. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Infrastructure Committee via an email poll conducted on July 7, 2022. So moved.
Do you have a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion? Anyone have any comments or questions?
This business about hydrants, is there a certain pressure that we have to have in hydrants for, I understand there's going to be a lot of buildings down there, maybe some of them tall. So Kevin, is there different types of hydrants or are they all the same?
Jeannie, I guess I'll have to ask you that one. I imagine they're all the same, but I'm not that sure.
Yeah, the pressure in the hydrants will be the same because it's based on the system in that area, the water main that's installed there. Whether there's a higher elevated building that may require a booster to get the pressure at the high elevation, that would have to be looked at the time. But these hydrants are to add fire protection where we're lacking in the spacing between hydrants throughout that commercial area.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. No other questions or comments, we'll proceed to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried.
Thank
Okay.
you. The next resolution is number INC 005-2022, supplemental capital budget for water meters. Whereas in 2018, the Stratford utility implemented a water meter program where meters were installed on all water services in the town and billing moved from flat rate to consumption base. And whereas a capital budget has been approved each year for the purchase of new water meters to be installed in new developments with a capital budget of $25,000, approved in the 2022 utility capital budget. And whereas the projection of a required meters for 2022 was underestimated in comparison to the pace of development throughout the town to date this year, and the supplier has notified that the cost of meters will be increasing from 9% to 12% later this month. Whereas the utility would like to order 50 meters in advance of the price increase, which will be a cost savings and also provide a quantity required for the remainder of the budget year. Be it resolved that a supplemental capital utility budget of $25,000 be approved for the purchase of an additional 50 water meters. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Infrastructure Committee via an email poll conducted on June 27, 2022. So moved.
Seconder?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion? Any,
Is this a cost recovery kind of program or is just, okay. If not.
okay, any other comments or questions? Proceed to the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those contrary minded? Motion carried.
That's my report, Your Worship.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to sustainability and the
Committee of the
chair's.
whole. Committee of the whole.
Oh, I'm sorry, Committee of the Whole. Oh, yes, here we go, Committee of the Whole. Yeah, the report of the meeting is in your package. And any comments or questions on the minutes? Okay, we'll move to resolution. Ask Deputy Mayor Clow to read that resolution.
Yes, Your Worship, CW 011 2022, election bylaw amendments, bylaw number 43-A, second reading. Whereas the Chief Electoral Officer has gone through an exercise with all the municipalities who they work with to review their bylaws. Whereas after the review, some changes were identified as outlined in the attached document. Be it resolved that the attached elections bylaw amendment, bylaw number 43-A, be hereby read and approved the second time. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole based on a meeting held on May 25th, 2022. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, I guess in terms of background information, there's a number of things in here. Jeremy, are you comfortable with going over some of the highlights of this, or do you want to? Is there anything you'd like to point out to the council with regard to changes to the electoral bylaw that maybe the public should be aware of as well?
There's quite a few minor amendments in here, but most of them are just housekeeping issues with regard to voting for service members and just generally when the election votes take place, and it's all laid out in there. There's quite a bit of small information, but just general housekeeping issues. I don't know if you want me to go through them in detail or not, but
just so it's basically just text amendments and
that's correct.
Corrections or
over the years, like when the MGA came in, there was the election bylaw was created, and after several years now, the new electoral officer did a review, and he had come up with some changes that he wanted made. They're all general changes that have been made throughout most of the municipalities, so there's no real major issues in there that I can see.
And it's nothing about mobile polling stations or anything in there?
There's one about having polling stations within seniors' facilities, but nothing that's really of any issue for me.
Okay.
Unless council has some issue with that.
I just wanted to just make sure that everyone was aware of all the issues or changes that are here. So it's nothing,
sure.
Nothing short of, it's just updates and text amendments and housekeeping items.
Yeah, it was included in our package back in the last council meeting that we had, and it went through the first reading then. So if there was any issues, I thought they would have been brought forward by now.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much.
No problem.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. That's the first reading, yeah. And
That's the second reading, isn't it? Yeah.
second
The
reading.
last
Now
one's
this
second. I'll
last
read the
one's for
adoption.
Adoption, yeah.
Okay, resolution CW 012-2022, election bylaw amendment, bylaw number 43-A, adoption. Whereas the attached election bylaw amendment, bylaw number 43-A, was read and approved the first time on June 8th, 2022, and whereas the attached election bylaw amendment, bylaw number 43-A, was read and approved the second time on July 13th, 2022, be it resolved that the election bylaw amendment, bylaw number 43-A, be hereby adopted, and that the mayor and chief administration officer be authorized to affix their signatures and the corporate seal of the town thereto, and to be formally declared the said bylaw passed. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole based on a meeting held on May 25th, 2022. So moved.
Do I have a seconder?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yep.
Okay, sustainability, our chair of that committee is, she's away, it's Councillor Jill Burridge, and she's touring schools in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick today. So for the community campus, and with that committee looking at different designs for schools and associated recreational facilities. So she is on that tour today, and so I'll ask her deputy deputy chair to give the report.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. As mentioned, Councillor Burbidge is away tonight. She's on a fact-finding tour, as been stated, in regards to the new community campus and the uses thereof through other communities. There's not much to report. We did not have a report, council committee meeting last month. The meeting minutes that are in your package is from the 8th of June. So that is pretty well been read over already, a previous council meeting. I thought it might be important to go over what is being done in sustainability and the future needs of sustainability within the town. So the first thing I want to report is that this coming Saturday, the watershed group within the town of Stratford is having a day in Fullerton's Marsh. It's open to the public from 10 a.m. to 12. This is a tree day. You can buy memberships. We also have other activities, nature walks, bird watching, plant walks, tree planting, green space cleanup, and a kids exploratory. So it's the kind of a thing that the Watershed Group is putting off. It's going to be this Saturday at Fullerton's Marsh, and the public is certainly welcome to attend. We have hired on a summer student for our energy plans within the town. This plan is done every 5 years. It's being updated. I don't know the student name, but he is going to be working for the summer for us.
It's Ashton Dudley. It's Glenn Dudley's son, actually, and he's doing a great job so far. So.
Okay, very good then. So that is being worked on for us. The SWITS program. I know that we ran out of money, but we are lobbying the governments to try to get more money. And with the interest rate going up by another % today, we're going to probably have to double down on our efforts to try to get some more money. As a footnote, I got a call from a counselor in Alberta yesterday, and they were asking about the same program. They want to implement it in their town out there. So the word is starting to spread around. It seems to be a hit. Community campus, that's ongoing. Again, as we said, Councilor Burbidge is on a fact-finding tour, and there is interested groups contacting us in regards to land use up in that area. The procurement project is underway. There's an RFP out. Is that has been done?
I just read the minutes there from that meeting. We're a partner in it, but they haven't communicated. City of Charlottetown's the lead, so I haven't heard anything on it as of yet.
To be updated at a later date.
Yeah.
All right. Climate trackers. This is a group of people interested in the climate, certainly. Constable Burbidge and myself were at the grand opening of the new climate school, PEI, in St. Peter's about a month ago. A wonderful facility, and I thought that maybe, if possible, our youth group, headed by Dwayne, could take a trip up there and talk to the students to see what kind of projects they're working on, and or have students from that area come down and talk to our climate trackers at a meeting here in Stratford to what they do and what they're looking at. They just don't track weather. They're tracking plants, new types of crops for our lands and stuff like that. So it's really quite interesting. And the students are from around the world. Bangladesh, Pakistan, Iran, Panama, Cuba, Canada, United States, China. So they're from around the year. Residential tree program, a huge success. It's going to be ongoing, I hope, and we're getting a wait list for next year, trying to get some more trees in for our people. The mayor yesterday was on TV about our community fridge pantry program that we're going to be implementing in the town. And I'm going to ask the people that if they have a vegetable garden, if you have any extra vegetables this year, please consider donating to the community fridge pantry for the people in need. And if you want to, if you're so inclined, if you have a favorite recipe for pickles or beets or whatever, please put that on in the shed too, so people can try different models of pickling vegetables and stuff. Thank Stratford radio campaign, I thought was a huge success. We were on the radio every day, Ocean 100. It's nice to hear what's going on in Stratford. And that is pretty well it. The annual business survey is ongoing, and we just discussed that in regards to home businesses. So that's a question that maybe that could be on that business survey this year. And lastly, want to comment, although this is not sustainability, community gardens plots, big success, and maybe we should consider having more community gardens in different areas of Stratford over the next couple of years because of the price of groceries going up. And I want to congratulate the ponds being cleaned, Kelly and Morris ponds. I know it's going to cause some dirt in the water while this is being done, but the end result will be much cleaner environment in those ponds. So I want the public to understand that this is going to happen, but in the end, it's going to be better for their water system. And that is the report from sustainability.
Okay, any comments or questions for Councillor Smith? Okay, if not, thank you for your report, Councillor. We'll now move to human resources. I think earlier we mentioned about the meeting that was being held. Do you want to comment on that, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, we had a meeting, as you all know, that Jeremy Crosby was on probation for 6 months, so we, council had a great discussion and with Jeremy on just what he's been working on over the past 6 months and what's going to take place in the future. And we're very excited with what's taken place and what Jeremy's vision is for the town and also the council. So as you all know, that Jeremy now is our permanent CAO, and we're quite happy about that, and I think we should give him a little bit of a hand here.
He wants to say a few words.
Just want to thank council for their support and guidance, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Good, thank you. So that's it, Your Worship.
Yeah, that was a good meeting, and I think I was really pleased with the result, and really pleased that we've got a great permanent chief administrative officer, very professional, very visionary, and we're lucky to have him. Okay, well,
I understand that there was a large number of applicants for the job.
Yes, there was, yes.
You know, and Jeremy finished on top.
That's right.
Of all of them.
You're
and,
right. Yeah.
And there are some good qualified people there too, so congratulations.
Yeah, the cream comes to the top.
okay, any inquiries by members of council at this point? Anything you want to follow up on from anything at all about the town?
I don't have a inquiry, Your Worship, we just lost condolence out to the Hookey family, Len Hookey, who passed away last month. Len was a resident of Ward 3. I want to send my condolences to the Hookey family. He was a very big, strong guy with deep voice, and he was very, did a lot of things here. Years ago, he was on the Bunbury Council. He did kinsman work, he did work at Belvedere Golf Club, Shout-Out Club, Meals and Wheels. Absolutely loved starting his days off with the gang in the hill there and having coffee. And big Packers fan. He was a fan of the markets, golf, playing cards, billiards, and of course horse racing. He loved PEI horse racing and consistently followed island drivers up the country and in the USA. He had successful careers in the Royal Bank, Newcastle, Sackville, Stephenville, Newfoundland, Charlottetown, and the cooperators. Led to many personal, long-time relationships, but none important to him. Then one night in Sackville, where he met the love of his life, and as that was his wife. And but I just wanted to. He was a member when I was polling or going either door to door, and met him, and we had a great conversation there. So my thoughts and prayers are with the Hockey family now.
Whereabouts did he live?
He lived in McDonald, not McDonald, street over. You come off Bunbury. You know where you come down where the Bunbury rink is?
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah,
street
yeah,
there,
yeah.
right there, my side. Yeah. So
East River Drive.
East
East
River
River
Drive.
Drive, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it was.
Longtime resident of Stratford.
Yeah, longtime resident of Stratford, and like you say, he was on Bunbury Council years and years ago.
Great guy.
Yeah,
Great guy.
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you very much, Councillor Glant.
Yeah.
I'd like to also give condolences to the family of Fadi Mustafa, a 17-year-old boy who was struck by a car, resident of Stratford, trying to save a family of raccoons in Somerville. Anyway, he graduated from Charlottetown Rural. I know he was a good friend of one of our employees' family's sons, and so he's going to be sadly missed. There is a fundraiser launched through GoFundMe to support the family with funeral costs for young boy. Anybody, and I guess there are the families, or it's being asked if people could support the fundraiser, it would be appreciated. So,
Yes.
Is there anything else anyone would like to say about this? No? Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll go back to.
Your worship?
Yes, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say a couple things as well.
Oh,
yeah.
Sure, go ahead, sorry, yeah.
Open floor. So I just want to thank all the staff and volunteers who helped out in Canada Day. We certainly couldn't have done it without them, for sure. And I also want to thank the food providers and all the entertainers that day. And so, job well done for everybody involved. I'd also like to personally welcome and congratulate Jeremy Crosby as our new CAO, and I wish him all the best in the coming years. And I'm glad you mentioned Fadi Mustafa's family. I feel really bad about that too, and certainly express my sympathies to his family as well. Very sad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you for all the work you did on Canada Day. You did a great job. MC is a really tough role, and you carried it off with aplomb. It was great. Thanks a lot. And thanks everybody for attending and for all their help Canada Day. Okay, we'll now move to other committees. Stratford Seniors Complex. Deputy Mayor, you're on the
there's
hot seat a lot these days.
Yeah, lots happening over there at the seniors' home. Great bunch of people over there. They're great to talk to, a lot of stories, and it's a great bunch of people. There's always a few items there. They're having issues right now with their washing machines, and Harry James's new company that took over from Harry are looking at trying to get those machines going, and it's like everything else. We spoke earlier. It's taken a year or so to get parts in for these things. So what do you do? So they put a replacement in and found out that it didn't work too. So they had it was missing parts. So they're struggling with it. So it's we have people over there that have to go outside and ask their families and go to other areas to get their clothes washed. Currently, they're getting quotes for kitchen cabinets, countertops, moldings, cabinet handles for 3 units, and getting quotes for bathroom vanities. Windows were ordered. We will be working on a tender to hire a firm to help with the new replacement plan as required by CMHC. And we do have currently there are 17 people on the waiting list for the senior home. So that's good news, because for a while there that was down pretty low, and where people had acquired other accommodations. So we put a little thing out there and we got some response. So there are 17 people now on the waiting list if someone happens to move on.
Do we know what's happening, if there's any, the same situation at St. John House?
I can't, perhaps Kim could speak more on it. I know that Donnie Chandler has retired from his
Yeah.
position there, and Alan Hughes has taken
Alan
over.
Hughes, yeah.
I know you're friends with him, but I'll ask Kim to comment on St. John House.
They don't have a big waiting list like ours. Typically what happens is now it'll be Alan. Alan will contact me and see if there's anybody on our waiting list that is looking for a unit. So we'll contact some people on our waiting list.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good. So
Yep.
we do have some,
We talk all the time back
That's
and
great.
forth between us. Yeah.
And there's great relationship there, too. That's good. Good to have, eh?
yeah, that's great. Super. Thank you very much.
That's my report on the seniors.
Okay, any comments or questions in the report? Okay, we'll move on to Community Campus Implementation Committee. Our chair of that committee is away tonight, so we don't have a report. Anything that we need to comment on, Jeannie or Jeremy? Okay. Yep.
Not so much on the implementation committee. That's kind of been put on hold, I guess, for now. There's not really much to bring back to the committee, but on the project as a whole, we are moving along with our consultant. We are just becoming aware of some scheduling issues with them on their part. They are falling a little bit behind on where we had hoped we would be, but also we're waiting on decisions with the province on the alignment of the intersection of Bunbury Road, and also on some stormwater management options for the project. So there's some outstanding items that we're looking to get decisions made on so that we can move forward. We're also learning today on supply issues, which is across the board, as we mentioned earlier, with pump station components and such, but also learning with Maritime Electric that there's many of their components that have long delivery times. So we're going to work through that the best we can. Still hoping to see some activity out there August or September for road work and sedimentation control ponds and such, but it'll all be determined on what materials can be supplied and how we can proceed. So
That's the impact of the pandemic, eh?
it's affecting so much. Yeah.
It's quite a thing. So, okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Okay. So we'll move on to item number 19, appointments to the committees. Any changes there? No? No proclamations? No? Okay. Any other business anyone would like to bring to the table at this time?
Do we have a flag raising ceremony next week?
On Monday at 2 o'clock, we'll be raising the Pride flag to kick off Pride Week in Stratford. I guess it's all PEI, Pride Week and all PEI.
Yeah. 10 o'clock, you say?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock in the afternoon, yeah. Okay, if there's no other business, I'll call for a motion for adjournment. We're now adjourned.